Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Empowered to Grow. This is your host, Hanan Basha. Today, I have an amazing lady who I've been trying to kind of hook for a few weeks now. Shaf Ameen is, she's a business coach for womenpreneurs who want to start a business online and who want to create content specifically that monetizes for them, regardless of how big or small their dreams or their visions are. She's also a business owner of a few other businesses, and one of them is a modest fashion line. And that's actually how I got to know you through a networking event. I'm like, that's interesting, So Shaf, this is your first podcast interview?
My second one, actually. I had one for Modestly as well. But
okay.
It was a long time back.
But I told her this is just a conversation between two ladies who are just discussing their dreams, their hopes, and how they can, how they've overcome adversity, how they've decided a business for themselves, and how to inspire other women, hopefully. So Shaf, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here, Hanan. I mean, it's been quite a few weeks, isn't it? We've been trying to get this sorted. I'm just so happy it's finally happened. And, it's great to be here with you.
Same here. Thank you. So I start with this question. When I asked you to be interviewed on my podcast, Empowered to Grow, what does that phrase mean to you, Empowered to Grow?
Empowered to grow. I think it means to have that belief in yourself, to be empowered that you can do it. You can grow. You can be here, but you can grow and reach that level where you want to go, right? So that's like you empower yourself with the skills, with you learn the skills, the different things that you need to have in order to grow and reach that place, that destination that you want to reach. So I would say that is, for me, that's what empowered to grow means.
I love that. So it's for you, it's a synonym to growth.
Definitely. Because for me, that's been my story, right? Like if I look back, I'm like, at every stage, I've been empowering myself with different things to grow, to reach where I am right now.
Which brings us to the next question. So you've empowered yourself to grow yourself. Would you tell us a bit about your story, please?
Actually, before this conversation, I was just sitting over here for 10 minutes and I was just like, what am I going to tell her about my story? And then I thought back to, because last week my two of my children had their birthdays and one of them turned 10. And I was like,
oh, God bless.
Okay, let's go back 10 years. 10 years back, I was just a mom. I had delivered my second kid. I wasn't thinking of business or anything. Like the thought hadn't even passed my mind, right? And honestly, at that time, my daughter, she was born sick. So it was a difficult time for me. And she actually had a lot of ulceration on her neck due to an issue.
Okay.
And it was a very difficult time for me. And I actually learned sewing because she couldn't wear the regular clothes that I could buy. I had to make clothes especially for her with a bigger neck so that she wouldn't, hurt herself.
Yeah.
And then I had my third child, 2014. And at that time, I remember someone asked me like, oh, Shafna, what are you going to do when your kids grow up? And honestly, at that point, I had 3 kids below the age of 4. And I was like, oh, the kids are going to grow up.
Yes.
Like, I know,
you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel with the babies.
Yeah, because I'm like, all I'm doing is washing, feeding, bathing, putting them to sleep, and
repeat.
And I never thought that they're going to grow up and they're not going to need me.
Like, I'm going to be independent one day.
It's good. And I remember like looking at this person with shock, like, and honestly, this was back in 2014. I remember my youngest was like maybe 2 or 3 months old. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to do something for myself. right? And I hadn't planned any business or anything. And that's how I got into sewing. And that was my first business where I was making personalized items for children. And that really took off. So at that point, it's like I have 3 kids. I'm doing all of the mom stuff and I'm sewing. And, that was a time when my husband had a business in Dubai. So he would keep flying up and down.
Okay.
So business took off. We're looking at like, I'm sewing every awake moment, right? And if he's not in town, I'm like, okay, I don't need to stop sewing. I put the kids to sleep and I'm sewing.
Exactly.
So it was amazing. The business went really well. I was getting orders left, right, and center. It's like my sewing machine, I used to call her Nina. And my husband's like, you're married to me or the sewing machine? Like, you're always on it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, unknown to me, I was actually falling sick because no one ever told me that you can fall sick by working too much.
Of course.
Like, I never knew that, right? And I've always been a very strong person. I've always been somebody you can, I'm always there like a supporting system. I don't crash. I don't fall because that's how I've been. And I'm looking after 3 kids, my house, all of this stuff. Very dependable is the word. And I remember my husband, this was like maybe 2-3 years, like maybe 2016 or something. And I had changed. I was not the lovely mother of 3 anymore. I was this, I don't know what I was. I was not a nice person. And I remember my husband once came to me and he told me, Shafna, I think you need some help. And this was a time where, I was fighting with him. Things were going wrong at home. I was yelling at the kids. And he's like, I think you need help. And I was so mad because like, how dare you? Yeah. I am running a business. I'm looking after 3 kids. I'm looking after the house. And you're telling me I need help? You need help, right? Now it went messy. And a few months later, I remember, I don't remember the how, but I remember I ended up on a beach and I was crying because I was crying and crying and crying. And I was thinking to myself, I have a decent husband. I have 3 awesome kids. I have a great relationship with my parents. I have a great relationship with my in-laws, which is a bit unheard of. And I have a good business, which is getting me an income. But I was so unhappy. Yeah. I was so unhappy. I was crying and crying and crying. And it just came to me with so much clarity at that point that externally, everything is fine. The problem is me. It's internal.
Yes.
And I went back to my husband and I told him that, look, I do need help. I really need help. And I think it set off a lot of, like, we went to different people, therapists and doctors and all. And I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, Hashimoto's, depression, anxiety, all of it. And I think you've experienced something similar. So,
very much so. That's why I'm nodding my head. I'm like, yep, been there and done that.
I know. You're like, okay, I know where the story is going. Go through all of this.
I'm happy you're sharing it. I'm so happy you're sharing it. Thank you.
I think women need to know that this happens. What you see outside is not it. The reality is this person has gone through almost to hell and back, and for me, it was horrible because I was this awful mom to my children. My children were scared of me. And I remember when the doctor told me that you have all of these, I was like, shit, my life is over. Sorry for swearing. Yeah, but I was my life is over. Like I don't know how I'm going to do it. I have 3 children below the age of like 5 or 6 or something. And I can't. And my doctor told me, like, look, either you look after your life or you're going to end up with something worse. Like your kids are going to have an even worse mom. And I just had to change because I was like, I can't live like this. Like, it's not worth it to have a business or, everything. And you're not even enjoying it. The joy is not there in your life. Right. Yeah. So it took me 2 years. I'll be honest. It took me a good 2 years of crying. And I really had to go really deep within myself. Like, I remember my therapist asked me, what's your favorite scoop of ice cream? And I was like, I don't know. I had to call my mom. I'm like, do you know what what's my favorite scoop of ice? Like, nobody knew because I didn't know myself. Like, such simple things I didn't know. I was so disconnected from my mind and my body. And I had to relearn a lot of things. I had to relearn relationships, how to draw those boundaries where, no, I'm sorry, after this, so-and-so, this is your boundary. You cannot cross it. I had to decide who I want to come into my boundary. And this is something I teach my children as well. Like, we have this boundary, and in this circle, only these people are allowed. Everybody else stays outside of it. Mm-hmm. So these are all things I had to relearn. And honestly, for my business wise, it's like I had to slow down. I still couldn't shut down because, I'm a business owner inside, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And I couldn't
And
shut
it's
down.
your baby. I mean, you started it
Yeah.
from scratch. Why
Yeah.
would you?
And for me, it was like I slowed down. Like I went from like taking about 15, 20 orders a month to taking like one or two maximum, because I couldn't. I had other things. I had to look after my health. And then about 2 years later, I was like feeling a lot better. And, I was like, okay, I'm back into civilization, let's say, or back into socializing. And I remember telling, like, I was telling my husband that, what I have right now is a local business. Like I was making personalized items for kids.
Yeah.
It's unlikely somebody in Australia or, New York is going to order from me. So I wanted a business where I could cater to like the whole world.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have anything small. I wanted to cater to the whole world. And that's how this idea for Modestly came up. Right. So Modestly was like, it's dresses. If a woman loves a dress, she's going to buy it. She doesn't care where it's from. Right. If you love it, you're going to buy it. So that's how Modestly came into being. And I remember the idea came to me and I just put my full focus in for the next 3 months. And I was actually the model for Modestly. And there's a funny story to it because people tell me that, oh, it's so amazing that you modeled your own clothes. And, we really feel that it's so realistic because, I'm not stick thin and, they feel like it's the same type of body. But the actual story is I didn't have money for a model and a photographer, right? I had to choose one. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to be the model and let's see what happens. And it was one of the best decisions I took because I think pretty much 90% of my clients, they come back to me and they're like, we bought because we saw the dress on your body and your body is like ours. Like it's not perfect.
Made it relatable.
It made it relatable. Exactly. So that was going really well. I mean, I loved doing Modestly. I think in that first year, because I had that experience of another business, this one was, I was able to do a lot more with it. In the first month, like I went for a podcast, we were featured in the paper, all of that stuff happened. And then a little before, honestly, before Corona happened, I was like, I was telling my coach, I had a coach at that time, my business coach, I was telling him, Modestly is nice, but I still feel like, it's not making the impact I want. Like you buy a dress, it's life-changing for all of maybe a few hours. You wear it and then it's done. But it's not really making a difference to someone's life. Like not the way I have in my mind, right? I wanted something more. So she was like, why are you not becoming a coach? And I was like, dude, I can't be a coach, man. Like, what will I coach about? And she's like, Shafna, you have like 7 years of business experience. You know how to sell online. And there are women who, they don't know how to do it. Like, I never even thought that I could be a coach. Yeah. And then she put it in my mind because, she put it, she's like, think about it, right? So when I think of something, when I find it interesting, I go full in. Like I need to know everything about it. So honestly, the pandemic was a huge blessing for me because sales in Modestly, it didn't shut down, but it slowed down a lot. And I had this time to study. I went and learned what is a coach, how to be a coach, what are the things you can coach about, all of it related to it. And I just went full in and long story short, here I am.
I love that.
Here I am, I am. I mean,
that's the beautiful thing about it, Shaf, is that you did not allow one thing to stop you. You stopped at every milestone or every what others would look at a block. You always had a growth mindset to it, and you stopped at it and you stopped in to analyze what it is, how is this impacting you positively or negatively, and how do you want to extract yourself and extract the lessons out of it and then move forth with it and evolve alongside. Because for a lot of people, the first block they have and that's it, it's done. And of course, I relate, definitely relate on the burnout phase, because that is what happened to me as well. It's like, okay, I'm an owner, I'm a co-owner of and a founder of, at that time, that was over 10 years ago, of 4 businesses. One of them I considered my second baby because I literally did everything and anything related to it. And I was burning out. I was going to doctor after doctor with issues, with health issues. And I was like, I can't stop. And that was the thought, I think. And that is definitely the thing I'm advocating for, is that especially as women, as mothers, as, even single ladies, it's not about your marital status or whether you have kids or not. It's about us as women that we feel that obliged to keep going. You don't stop. You can't stop. It's not an option. And I think that is the part that I keep advocating for. There is always an option. Just we have to understand, of course, that every option comes with its cost, and you're paying your dues anyway. It's a decision. It's a conscious decision. Beyond that, what are you paying for? Are you paying for external success, the perceived success, but you're losing your health in the middle, and you're losing your peace of mind, and you're losing your fulfillment? Or are you compromising a bit on your income? Let's be realistic. On your perceived success again, but you are gaining that, and it's that transition from external validation to internal fulfillment and gratification. Which are you going for?
I would say, what's the point of having business if you don't have a decent relationship with your spouse or your children or anybody else? When you're
with yourself.
Or with yourself, exactly. Yeah. If you're unhappy with yourself, there's no point to all of it if you're going to be going to bed and crying. Sure. Like for me right now, I know when to stop. And I know that if say I have my to-do list, which is right here next to me, and I know that if I haven't, it's okay. I have done my best for today.
Exactly.
And that's all that matters, because there are small people in my life who are dependent on me, and I cannot spend 12 hours a day working and just ignore them or forget them. No, it doesn't work like that.
And even if you don't have the other people, the small people depending on you, 12 hours of day working means that you're not taking care of you. And that in itself is going to bite you sooner or later. It's going to bite, There's a difference between enjoying what you're doing and finding that gratification. And there's a difference between you are working yourself to an illness or a disease, or to just, as you said, just crying yourself to sleep at night.
And I guess that's what I wish somebody had told me that 7 years back, you need to stop. I really didn't know, Hanan. I really didn't know that I had to,
can stop, that you have the option to stop.
Yeah, my husband used to travel a lot. Dubai was so easy to go and come back.
Yeah.
And my kids would be in bed by 7:38. And I'd be like, okay, you know what? I'm not much of a television person, right? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I have orders to finish. So I'd be up sewing till 12:01. And then I have to wake up again at 6.
5 or 6,
And in between, because, we have breastfeeding and all of that happening. So I was like, now when I look back, I was like, dude, you were just a zombie.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing. I don't even know how I came out of it, but alhamdulillah, I'm out of it.
But that's the point, Shaf, is that another thing is and that's what I tell women now who want to start their own business, that we have to set our own subjective success parameters. And that's the point. Whether you want to create the next $1 million business, that's a success, and you're going to work for it, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to take the steps towards it. Or I want to create the next 2-hour-a-day business as my kids, to entertain me as my kids are in school, and that's a success, and we're going to work towards it. We're going to put a vision mission to it. So from where you stand now and everything you've just said, what advice would you impart on your 19-year-old self?
I don't have to go till 19. Even 10 years back, if I could tell myself that, I would just say prioritize your health. I mean, if you don't have your health,
you have nothing.
Nothing else matters. Mental health, physical health. If your mind and body are not functioning normally at optimum, then, and now for me, I would still say I'm not functioning at optimum, because I feel that once it's broken, it's hard to get it back, but at least it's better than before. Even after, it took me 2 years to get over my adrenal fatigue and all, but even after that, for a while, I used to be unsure. I remember, when I finally started socializing, and my husband has never seen me, how do I say, broken or weak or anything. So I used to be when we went out, I was scared to talk to people. Mm-hmm. And when we came home, I'd be in the car, I'd be did I say something wrong? Was it okay? Did I behave normally? Was I behaving strange? And I could see that it was really heartbreaking for him, because he had never seen me that way. Mm-hmm. Right? A strong, independent woman and all of that. And suddenly I'm I'm doubting every word I say.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to get over that. And now I would say, at least now for me, I have days when I'm down, but I'm aware of it.
Yes.
That awareness is there that, okay, what you feel is not you and it's going to pass. It's all right. It's going to pass, and I think that awareness is, it's something, I mean, I think everybody should be aware. And I would say to my 19-year-old self, look after your health, look after your sleep, your food, hydrate yourself, and exercise every single day. Like, this is it. This is the 4 things you have to focus on.
I wish that. As a health coach, I endorse that. So
yeah, definitely.
So on a time capsule perspective, your 90-year-old self,
90,
would like her to thank you for?
You think I'll go that far ahead? Inshallah. I hope so.
Inshallah.
I want,
why not?
Definitely.
Why not?
I probably tell myself, or I want to tell myself, man, Shaf, I am so proud of you. Thank you for believing in yourself, girl. Because thank you for believing in yourself. And, thank you for believing that you can do anything that you put your mind to do. I think that's what that's what I want to tell myself. That Shafna.
Yeah. She's going to tell you that. She's going to thank you for that for sure.
Inshallah, definitely.
You're on a stage. We're summing up now. You're in front of tens of thousands of women. And the speech is about being empowered to grow. What would be that last message you leave them with?
I tell them, ladies, believe in yourself. Believe in your capabilities. Believe in your abilities. And even if you feel like the ground has fallen off beneath your feet, or you feel like you haven't started, or if you feel like you're so far behind, you'll never be able to catch up, it doesn't matter. Just start, because if you put your mind to it, you can do anything that you want to do, anything at all. So just do the damn thing, man.
Yes, just do it, huh? This is
just do it.
That's exactly it. And I think it's not just to do it, it's to embark, to have the courage to embark on something, and then to also have the courage to know how to, or when to amend, when to realign, when to adapt, when to be agile, and these are the things that nothing is set in stone. No business model is set in stone, and that's okay. I mean, we've all been hit with the pandemic, and people have shifted and pivoted worldwide, huge businesses and individuals the same. But that's the part that I think the intimidation comes from. If I do it, I have to keep doing it this way. No, by the way, you can change your way. Yes, there should be a vision, there should be a strategy, there should be a foundation, but then the delivery and the mechanics and the tactics could be amended accordingly, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think I'd like to add to that get over the fear of failure.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be successful, you need to fail. Mm-hmm. Each time you try, you fail, you try, and then you'll reach that place where you're right. You're finally right. And that's success. Mm-hmm. Like if now when I look back at my life, if my daughter hadn't fallen sick, I would have never learned how to sew. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have started on business. Mind you, 10 years back, I was still in bed lying down after, having popped out a kid, So if all of those negative things is what came to where I am in my life right now, So I really think that you have to get over the fear of failing. Get over it. Everybody fails. And that's how they get to where they are.
True.
So
I love that. Well, this has been very interesting, and I'm sure we're going to continue on to the next part. But for our viewers and listeners, where can they find you in virtual space? How can they connect with you?
Instagram's my jam. Shaf Ameen. I live on Instagram.
Okay, so Instagram it is. I'll definitely, I'm putting the within the episode notes, I'll put a link to your Instagram. Shaf, thank you so much. Thank you,
Hanan,
for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your energy, and thank you for accepting the invitation.
I haven't shared that story in a long time, so for me, it's like, wow, like I feel so good.
That's good. That's good. That's the whole point of this podcast.
Yes, when you share, you feel so good. I feel so, when I look back, I was like, man, I've come quite away from 10 years ago.
That's the point.
So thank you so much for that. I really, really
It
appreciate it,
was
Hannah.
my pleasure, always is. And I'm sure our conversation will continue. Well,
Definitely.
thank you everyone for tuning in. I think the bottom line here is go for it. Just do it and do it your way and do it in a way that serves you. And keep doing it as long as it's fulfilling and satisfying, gratifying you.
Persist. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us and love, abundance, and prosperity to you all. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananulbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.